Chatri, one championship. Francis Ngannou, contract, free agency. I feel as though I might have had the scoop on this. Chatri came on and spoke to me. He said, we want Francis. We've been in talks with Francis, and we're going to submit our best and final. And those are very important terms that you know in business. When somebody says best and final, that's it. Even if they regret it and think they'll offer more, they won't come back. It's important that you know those words. Those words are very relevant. The conversation is going to end here. Even if I regret, even if I think I can do more. Just on whatever integrity to the nature, to the reputation that was going to follow me, when I say best and final, it's going to be my best and final. And Chatri told us that that was the stage that he was at. I thought it was great. I thought it was very interesting. And Chatri seemed optimistic. And there must be something about speaking to Francis where he does make you feel that way. I mean, it must be. Dana White can read people better than anybody I've ever seen. That includes PhDs in psychology that I know. Dana White can read people. Dana White said, hey, we're going to get this worked out. He really meant it. Scott Coker had meetings with Francis. And Scott Coker said, yeah, I think we're going to get the deal soon. I think we're going to have him fight in the Bellator brand with MMA, and we're going to get him set up over in the Showtime brand with boxing, and I think that we're going to have this done in the next couple of weeks. I mean, at some point along this process, that was said. Dan Hardy, who's involved, particularly with UK and possibly all of European decision-making for the PFL, Dan Hardy was very optimistic. Hey, we're going to get him. We're going to get him. As a matter of fact, it's coming. We're going to make this announcement. It's coming. Stand by. And Chatri gave a little bit of that as well. And so, I mean, there just must be something with Francis. He must be a really personable guy, and everybody had a real good sense. And it came out today. Chatri said, not that Francis turned down, not that he turned down the best and final. Chatri said, I've decided to not present my best and final. I am out. And if any of you are new or you've watched some movies or something and you think perhaps that's a negotiating tactic, no, it is not. When a leader comes out and makes that statement, knowing their reputation is going to follow him, he means it. And Chatri gave us a massive clue. And the clue was simply, I sat down. I had a meeting with Francis for 3 hours. I really liked him. We weren't apart on the money, like you said, financially, but we were conceptually as far as ideas. There's parts where I didn't feel, in Chatri's word, that we were aligned. It's nothing personal, but for that reason, not for the financial reason, for the alignment reason, I am not going to move forward with this negotiation. Now, Dave Feldman spoke up, and he was not as wordy and he was not as polite. Dave Feldman said he wants too much money. It's unrealistic, and his value is dropping by the day. Next question. Okay, all right. But there is some themes there. I mean, there is some stuff you would take away. It does appear to me that people like him. It appears to me, even when Francis has come to us in this process, right? He's been polite. He's been calm. He's been personable. It seems he's been honest. Now, that's his business, and he doesn't owe it to us. But when we do hear his version and then we hear somebody else's, they're the same version. I think people really like Francis. Eventually, you get to a point where the guy just has to ask himself, do I want to fight? And it's a very simple question. It's a very binary question. And the right guy will always show up. Make no mistake. There has never been an Olympic Games in history where a good athlete's at home, he's watching on the couch, he slaps his buddy next to him and says, well, I could have won the Olympics this year. I decided to sit this one out. That's just never happened. The right guy will always show up. 2 and 3, not every time. Most of the time, not every time. The number one guy will always show up. Nobody's ever sat home and watched the Super Bowl and there was an MVP crown and he thought that coulda, shoulda, woulda been him. It just doesn't happen. The right guy always shows up. I was trying to break into the business and I did a bunch of fights, man. I think I was 11-2, 3 different weight classes, short notice. I mean, I'm doing all the stuff that you think, right? I mean, imagine me. I'm dashing, I'm charming, I'm just stunningly handsome with a wonderful smile, and I can't get a contract. My mother hatched a plan to bribe Joe Silva. The number was $50,000 to give me a contract. Now, the contracts back then, so you understand, were 2 and 2. You got 2,000 a show, you got 2,000 to win. My mother was going to give Joe Silva on the side 50 grand to get me in. I only tell that story because my family would have paid it. We would have paid the 50 grand and we would have gotten the 2 and the 2 if we could have gotten a victory. And we would have come out 46 short. Do you want to fight or not? I wanted to fight. But I will share with you, if roles were reversed right now and Joe Silva calls me up, says, Chael, I'll give you 50 grand, come get in the ring. I want to do it. So, I mean, things change over time. It's tough to imagine. It really is. I spent my whole life in a gym trying to look like Francis, right? He looks the way that I want to. I tried my whole life to try to be world champion. He gave a world title back. Can't imagine. I can't relate to that. I did not have that level of success. But does it change your mind? Does it change your hunger? Because I would think that it would. I would think if I climbed Mount Everest, I would feel really good about myself. But I'm not sure that I would have the need to go climb it again. That I would have the urge. That I would have the grit. You know, I'm just not sure. So I got to sit back and I got to guess. Now you have some other very realistic factors. I don't know enough about Francis, but I don't believe that he's married. I don't know enough about Francis, but I don't believe he has any kids. Francis appears to really be a family guy. Like, I've seen videos. I've seen pictures of holidays with the whole family. I believe his grandma is still with us, but, you know, his mother was there, and his aunts were there, and his cousins were there, and his uncles were there. I mean, it was a big deal. I don't remember seeing kids and a wife, and I only share that with you because sometimes, you know, Francis made some good money. If he plans to just be a bachelor his whole life, it's one of those things. Does he need to fight again? Does he feel like he needs to fight again? I can't answer some of those questions. But I do get confused when I hear Chatri say what I've heard a close version to Dana saying, which is not about the money. The money were good. The fighting, the unified rules, and the weight class were good. All of that's good. It's other stuff. We're not aligned. It's other stuff. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means. And it would seem to me that there would be a misunderstanding in the wanted ad that I posted if I was the employer. When I posted the opening, I thought I was very specific. I need a heavyweight to compete in mixed martial arts. So when you took this meeting with me, being a heavyweight, I thought you wanted to compete in mixed martial arts, but we're talking about other things now. Whatever those other things are, I'm not looking for that. If I was, I would have said that. I'm looking for an athlete with some recognition in his name, some skills within himself that wants to compete, but nothing else. Very straightforward. And I'm trying to figure out what that number is. That athlete can be you. So I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're discussing. But I do know your goals do change over time. I do know your attitude changed and your ideas change. There was a time I'd have given Joe Silva 50 dimes just for the opportunity. But right now, roles were reversed and he was offering it to me. I wouldn't take it. So I do understand it. You either want to fight or you don't.